Yay! Welcome back.
It is the 4th week of the 9th season.
Yeah, it is.
We're musicians.
We are
Yes.
vocalists.
We're just so talented. It baffles me sometimes. Wow.
Oh my god. So, episode 4, season 9, Finnish Postcard. What a fun convo this was.
This was so fun. I was listening back today, and they're just so delightful. They're so delightful. And I was laughing again at what we were talking about, and they're just so fun. Such
fun.
Sweet dudes.
So sweet. I met Leo, who's one half of Finnish Postcard, when I was like a sophomore or junior in high school, and he was like a junior or senior. And we went to a songwriting camp together that was put on by my high school. And literally, like, he was so cool back then, and he's still so cool now. And it's so cool to be like, it's like, what a full circle moment this is to have him on our podcast and celebrate his music. Yay.
Yeah, your high school was really cranking it out. Cause there's you, there's Leo, and then an upcoming guest, also from your high school. Or are we sharing?
Are we sharing? Should I can edit that out.
No, I love it. Upcoming episode in 2 weeks, I think, is also with an alum from Meg's high school.
From Sisters High School.
Which is like the tiniest little high school. I'm curious, listeners, if you all went to a small or a big high school, because my high school, 750 graduating class.
That's literally insane. My graduating class was like 97 people.
Which is wild to me. I'm like, I didn't know everyone that was graduating. There were people that walked across the stage, and I was like, never seen them before in my entire life. And I'm a pretty social person. Like, I feel like I knew a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
that's literally insane. I knew
so
every
popular.
single person in the whole school.
I was so popular. No, I was the choir vice president. That was friends with people who were popular.
That explains a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Matthew Herdlicka for being the president. Still one of my great friends. Love him. He was actually popular, though.
Love that for him.
Yeah.
I wasn't popular either, but I feel like
you can't be popular or unpopular in a high school that has 90 people in the graduating class.
That's a good point. We're all just like level. We're all the same.
Yeah. See, I didn't feel... Oh, we're sidetracking again. Not shocking, but I don't feel like my high school... I don't think I was a bully, and I wasn't bullied. But even like... people that could have been seen as popular or bullies, I didn't feel like there was any major drama. We did have animosity. We did have a race issue. There was like some people, but these were the popular people, were like had a Confederate flag, and that started like a whole thing that got on national news. But that wasn't like anybody I knew. No one I knew. I think it was even in a different grade than mine. I don't even remember.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pivoting the conversation because that's a lot. You released a single.
Oh my gosh, I did. Yes, it is out in the world. Toxic Entanglement. Go stream it now.
It's literally so good. It's also on our Patreon.
And
so good.
The day after this comes out, this episode's all about me, actually. Forget Finnish Postcard. The day after this comes out is my birthday. So everyone wish me a happy birthday, because I'm self-centered and self-indulgent.
Happy birthday, Caroline.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm officially in my mid-20s. Like, I can't say early 20s anymore.
Wow.
It's mid. It is mid. And I feel mid, you know? But you know who's not mid? Our guest today, Finnish Postcard.
Hello. Welcome.
Hello. Hey.
How the heck are ya? This is Finnish Postcard. Welcome to the Songwriter Diaries. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah. Well, why don't we just dive right in and have you guys start by telling us a little bit about Finnish Postcard and how your musical journey started, both individually or as a group.
Yeah. So me and Trey are both, have played music forever and been in bands and all sorts of stuff. And we've only known each other a little over a year. We met in October of 2021, so like 15 months ago. And
Nice.
I feel like we were both really in places where we had been like working really hard on solo projects and playing in people's bands a bunch, and we're feeling a kind of weird like stasis around it and wanting to like make music that was a little more out there, and just became fast friends. And it kind of happened without too much like premeditation. I feel like we just started hanging out a ton and like being like, you just want to like hang out, play music today and then tomorrow, and then and then kind of snowballed
For the rest of our lives.
Yeah, now we live together.
Love it.
Like music space in LA and work on stuff all the time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is it just you two, or are there other musicians in the space as well?
There are like 20 people here.
That's cool.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
It's like it's like an old PBR brewery, like an industrial warehouse that is called the Musicians Lofts. And you kind of it's like for professional musicians, live workspace. There's like a recording studio and practice rooms.
Yeah, it's like a building on an old complex, like informally known as the brewery. There's a Wikipedia page for it, the Brewery Art Colony.
That's how you know you've made it, is when you're living somewhere that has a Wikipedia page. That is my new life goal. Oh my gosh, I'm about to make a Wikipedia page just for my apartment. Well, maybe that's probably not a good idea, but that would be so cool.
That's the power of Wikipedia. Everything is worthy of being encyclopedified.
Get enough citations.
Oh my god, that is so cool though that you live there, and there's recordings. That's just, I'm blown. That's wild. That's
this
amazing.
Isn't relevant at all, but how many bathrooms are there?
3.
3 bathrooms for how many people?
20.
That's insane.
One thing that's cool though about our floor is that the shower and the like toilet are in different bathrooms.
That's ideal. Yep.
Like 2 half baths, one only, they only have one of each.
Yeah, and I want to say it's shockingly like the chillest place I've ever lived. Like you would think like a bunch of musicians like living on top of each other. Like it's rare that I'll like go a whole day and see like one other person here. Like everybody's doing their own thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's sick.
The bathroom situation is the only thing I would worry about.
Yeah.
Well, not the only thing, but the main thing.
It's not for the faint of heart.
No. Yeah, there's a lot of leaks. Like this building was not meant to be around this long.
Our roof is leaking.
Oh no.
Oh gosh.
Well, I'm in roofing, so I can help you with that.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Yes.
This is fate.
This is
fate.
Oh my gosh. It's been crazy rain there though, hasn't it?
Oh, that's right.
Recently?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Gosh. I'm glad it's still standing for the most part.
Yeah.
Except for some leaks in the roof.
Yeah. So what does your songwriting process look like? Do you begin with melody, lyrics? What's the vibe?
I feel like we've started songs in a lot of different ways. We've gone like, sometimes there's a fully written song or like an almost fully written song that one of the things to the other one is like, how do we finish this, or do we want to work on this? Sometimes we're just like sitting with guitars and we're like, oh, let's keep following that, and we kind of like write it just in tandem. Sometimes it starts with lyrics and it's like, these are really cool lyrics, how do we make a song around it? Sometimes it just lately I feel like songs have been starting by Leo just being like, recorded the sound of brushing hair and like auto-tuned it, and like it sounds weird.
Yeah. I feel like we both come from like, we both have like solo projects with like, we released like multiple solo albums and like just kind of done a lot of like just work on our own. And I feel like I've never legitimately had a writing partner where I could like where we could like sit down and just ideas will be being thrown around, and like it's just not something you can like I wish I could just sit down with any songwriter that I think is cool and like write with them, but songwriting is such like a dark art that you can't quantify it. Like, but for some reason, me and Trey can like just spitball and like write together, which is not something I've experienced that much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Totally.
What are your individual musical backgrounds like?
I come from a background of playing quiet music on guitar originally. Like I think my approach to writing music was just, I was like, well, I don't have a band or anything, so I can write music that I can perform alone on stage, and it feels complete in that way. So I feel like my first like maybe like 5 to 7 years of writing songs was like that. And I played guitar in like a post-punk band, and have been in some like more like garage rock stuff. And honestly, the last couple of years, I feel like my whole creative, like up until I met Trey, and even more so after Finnish Postcard started, but I feel like so much of my creative work takes place now in front of a computer, which I love, because I feel like I spent so long like writing songs and figuring out that, like, and now I'm like, I feel like I'm a kid again, like trying to learn how to like, I don't know, like I can remember being like 14 and like sitting down and analyzing like a whole Strokes album, song structures, and trying to get good at that. And now I feel like I'm like back in that stage where I'm just like recording lots of sounds and like trying to make textures and timbres that sound interesting to me. I feel like that's where my head's at. I feel like I kind of deviated from the question, but I'll let
No, that's the whole podcast. The question
was,
it was musical. It doesn't matter. You successfully maneuvered the conversation, because I have another question that goes off of that. And Trey, this is for you too. If you do, I'm assuming you do audio stuff as well, since you're our podcast producer as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Hey.
Like what? I know nothing about audio. I mean, I just got an interface T-2 months ago. So what like interfaces do you use? How would you recommend getting into audio for our listeners that are songwriters but not necessarily producers and don't know how to record their own stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question. When I was going to college, I lived in like a student co-op house thing, and we had like a music space in the house, and my like co-op job was to like run the music space. And I didn't have an interface. And I needed one to like record stuff. That's super crucial. And there was one in the recording space that we had, the music space, and I used it for the 2 years that I lived there. And then I noticed that nobody else had used it in those 2 years. So I stole it.
Yes. We fully support.
I have not bought an interface, and it's a really shitty audio interface. If somebody from my co-op hears this, I'm kind of sorry, but also nobody was using that thing, and it's $40, so I'll buy you a new one.
Trey is like the perfect person to ask this question to, because Trey has like, I feel like just by watching Trey like engineer audio, I've learned a lot and been inspired, because Trey has like recorded really good sounding drums like with his laptop mic, and like made such interesting music with really limited gear, and like just knows how to EQ his mics, and like all of Trey's solo stuff was just done with like super rudimentary gear, and just like it's, I think, me too, to a pretty big extent, but like I feel like Trey's approach is really it's just really about like the content of music, you know.
I feel like I see a lot of people buy a bunch of gear, like a lot of my friends that are big music fans or whatever, and please excuse the road sound, we're like people love to like race their motorcycles down this street.
You're in a warehouse.
Yeah.
To the territory, but like I see like a lot of my musician friends or like anybody who's like trying to do something that involves gear, you know, buying like mics and interfaces and instruments and stuff. And I've just seen that really like stifle people. And I feel like I have a superstitious like reaction to that, where I'm like, I have to use the shittiest stuff and just live in those limitations because that makes sense to me. And once I start buying nice gear and I'm like, you know, I can't really see the edge of the quality of stuff I can make anymore at all. I think that would just make me feel like I was in the deep end and I didn't know what I was doing. So my advice would be to buy the shittiest gear possible, and like see if you can make it work. And if you really need something, then get that thing. But you know, don't paralyze yourself with like, you know, $800 of gear that's going to stare you down and be mad at you for not using it enough, you know.
Wow. That is advice.
Record.
Yeah, that is amazing advice, because I'm one of those people, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are too, that's like, if I'm gonna do something, I want to get everything perfect right off the bat. Like, I want to get all the nicest gear so I can go into it and be, you know, totally formal about it and like get everything right the first time. Where that's not how you grow. You have to start somewhere small and then continue to grow, and you can even grow within those limitations, as you've proven. So I think that's super helpful to hear.
Yeah. That's like really well said too.
Yeah.
And I think more relying on the creativity of it rather than the niceness of gear is like so important. Okay. Next question. What do you think are some of the most important qualities of a successful songwriter? Boom.
I don't know. Oh my God.
Trey's like, I just told you to buy the shittiest gear, and now you're asking me.
Successful, I think successful is very relative.
Oh no, absolutely.
But like the people that I like, I think have something in common, which is like they are kind of having the idea first or something like that. It's like, rather than kind of like, oh, I know how to use this thing. I don't know, even know how to describe it, but it's like kind of, I don't know, dude. Maybe Leo can answer and then I'll know what the fuck I'm talking about. Oh, can you?
Oh yes, man, you're the third person today that has asked if you can swear. Fuck
like,
yeah, you can,
radio?
buddy.
Yeah. I'm like, do people think that we're a child-friendly podcast? No,
fuck children.
Yeah.
I agree.
Fuck children.
Get out of here.
Children. Successful songwriting, I feel like internally, like when I feel like I'm successfully writing songs that I like, it's just like I feel like I'm surprising myself and like searching for stuff. God, this is a fucking hard question.
I feel like I know what I mean now.
Okay.
It's like
like pass it back and forth.
It's exactly. It's like, how do you like? It's like the best way to answer that is definitely, what do you feel like happened when you feel like you were successful in songwriting? And I feel like it's when you're just starting at like absolute zero. You're not like, oh, like I heard this chord progression, so I'm going to use that chord progression, and like like forcing stuff in a weird way. And I feel like if you have kind of a feeling and you're like, oh, I want to convey this feeling, it kind of unlocks your like ability to like use that to inform your decisions. And that way, when people hear it, it's like, I don't know, it's not, it doesn't feel like it was paint by numbers at all. It feels like it was like, it came from like this like specific place.
Also,
yes,
I feel like my favorite people who are writing songs right now are writing songs that are like you can kind of just imprint your own meaning on, like because no matter how specific you are in your music, if someone likes your music, it's going to be because of them. It's going to be because of some internal thing to the listener that resonates with them. So I feel like my favorite songs kind of show and don't tell. So I think in terms of myself, I think that is what I want to do when I'm writing songs right now, is kind of take a far off view of whatever I'm writing about and not be too specific.
Yeah. And which songwriters are you listening to right now that either influence your songwriting or just that you admire in terms of their songwriting?
I think my favorite songwriter right now is Adrienne Linker.
Yes.
We've had Adrienne Linker recommended by another podcast guest.
I think thought you were about to say that we've had her on the podcast.
No.
I was like,
okay.
Oh, what? Where was I?
Not yet. Okay. Yeah, my own personal podcast without you. No, we had
Diaries too.
Yeah. We had someone, I think it was Emma Rose,
yeah,
mention Adrienne Linker, and I had never heard of her before.
She's so good. And Alice
and
Phoebe
amazing.
Liu.
Yeah.
Or no, Phoebe.
I think that was right.
Phoebe.
Alice.
Yeah. Anywho, Adrienne Linker. Yes.
Yeah. I feel like in terms of not being too specific and taking kind of like a bigger impressionistic songwriting approach, I think she does it better than anyone else. Mm-hmm. She's probably the most, when I hear like someone with a guitar singing, that's who I get the most inspired by or feel the most I'm jealous of that I didn't write those songs.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. That's how you know a song's good, when you're like, you hear it and you're like, damn, why didn't I think of that?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a righteous, holy jealousy that you're like,
mm-hmm.
I want to be better.
Yeah. It's very genuine.
Yeah.
Trey, I would like to know some of your influences or like songwriters you listen to or
I think Alex G is probably the number one for me. He's just like so creative and has this kind of magical ability to do like ideas that shouldn't work in ways that work. He's great. There's this songwriter, Will Fox, who's in our scene and is like just kind of blows my mind. So you should definitely check him out. He's like a bossa nova, ex bossa nova player, like recovering jazz musician who like
recovering,
like songwriter music basically.
He really toes the line of being super sophisticated musically without being too heady, or he's a songwriter first, but he just also has to be really good at music and like
Okay, I just wrote those names down.
I know. I'm looking them up right now, saving them.
Love it.
Because that's a hard balance.
You guys are Elliott Smith on like always in the conversation for me.
Yeah.
Yes. I love Elliott Smith. So how do you stay inspired? Or
Man,
do you
I am
not?
so inspired.
The power of friendship helps, you know.
Aww, get out of here.
Cute.
I think that's a really, really individual to individual thing too. Like some people have like real ups and downs with that. Like, and I think everybody has some level of ups and downs with it. I heard recently this thought, I don't remember who to attribute it to, but like somebody said that like your art, like making your art should feel like an affair.
I love that.
And I think that for me, I've been like lucky enough to be like, music in my life has always been the thing I do and I'm avoiding doing something else. So it's always had some magic about it. I think that's helpful. That's a helpful thing to find.
Yeah, it should still feel fun and I mean scandalous, almost like magical. Oh yeah, this is what this is what I'm doing in my free time. That's also creeping into the time that I should be being productive in another sense.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like for me, I'm like only feeling more and more inspired all the time. I feel like inspiration for me was just like, it's like once I did enough like self-work and like got out of my own way enough and stopped like being self-sabotaging, I felt like it was just always present. Like if I live a good life and don't use substances, and if I treat people well and show up to my responsibilities, it's like there's nothing standing in the way of me feeling like I could just like sit down and write anytime. Which is kind of weird, like kind of the opposite of what I thought would happen when I was like 14, and I was like, oh, if I want to be a musician, I have to be like this like rough around the edges, like badass guy. And it's so not like that in reality. In my experience, it's like music is the opposite of pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, that was very beautifully said. And I love that you mentioned substances, because I'm also kind of on a journey of like finding that lesser amount. And yeah, that's really beautiful. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Like music is the opposite of like using substances for me. Like those two things go in exact opposite directions.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're finally getting to a place where most people understand that like being a mentally unhealthy fuckhead is like not actually better for the art that you're making. Yeah. And it's actively, the healthier you are, the better the stuff you make is.
Yeah.
Totally. There's like rock stars right now, like Phoebe Bridgers and stuff, who are super like vulnerable and are like, yeah, I go to therapy and I don't really drink, and I like at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
I also just happen to writing music that is changing like millions of lives. Like,
yeah.
I think that with all the weird stuff where music is right now, I feel like there's a ton of awareness about like mental health and with musicians.
Yeah, we're big proponents of therapy here. Everybody should go to therapy. Love it.
Yeah.
On the weekly.
Yeah.
On the weekly. Yes.
Same, brother.
Yes. But I also definitely feel like songwriting is at least for me, a form of therapy of like, you know, getting those songs out there in a healthy way. Whereas substances for me is therapy in an unhealthy way. You know, like dealing with stuff. So yeah. What do you think are the most difficult parts of being a musician and a songwriter? And what do you think are the most wonderful parts?
I feel like we can just skip right over the lack of money.
Yeah.
That's just like,
but good to mention.
A given. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Trey, you have a job as a podcast producer. Leo, do you have a job that provides finances? Okay.
Damn.
I wait tables.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, and I like it. I mean, it's a good thing with music. It fills up a totally different area of my life, and so
yeah, and I guess like some of the not super positive things I've noticed doing music in LA is like there can be kind of a weird space where you're like, am I networking right now, or like are we like
actually
friends?
Yeah.
Like
I feel that so hard. So
am
hard.
I really friends with this person, or am I like weirdly lizard braining, like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like trying to traverse social hierarchies, and it's like that can be kind of like, you know, that's something that I feel like you have to be really upfront with yourself about, and like it's definitely something I'm exploring in therapy. But that's kind of the dark side to me, is like it's this weird thing where it's like this beautiful, creative, free thing. There's nothing freer than music. I mean, it's even like pop music is so out there. It's nothing like TV, like, in my opinion, in terms of how abstract it is and how, like, you know, the listener is like doing so much of the work of interpreting this piece of work that you make. But then the negative side is that it's like this business that there's no money in, and that it's kind of tricky, kind of emotionally to navigate sometimes.
Yeah. I feel a little bit less like this now, but I do think that sometimes being super in it can, like, in the creative process, can feel kind of uncomfortable for me. Like, if I'm in a period where I feel like I look back and I'm like, oh, I wrote some good songs, or like we're making a record right now, and it can definitely feel like after a while you're just ramming your head into a wall. You're like, where should this kick drum go? Should it be like in this like 5-second part of the bridge of this song? You're like, it can be. I do feel less like that now. I feel, because I think the uncomfortableness is like comes from like perfectionism and insecurity, which neither would be there in my most ideal way of making music. But yeah, I don't even know if I stand behind that answer, honestly, because it's like that the creative process is messy and weird, but it's literally the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Yeah, there's a duality.
Yeah.
Definitely. I love what you said about the experience of the hierarchy, because I live in Nashville, and I remember I had just moved here and I was getting together with some friends, and it was one friend that invited me to hang out with her friends, saying it's a wine night, we're all just hanging out, you can meet people. And I go, and it's, fine. I can already tell I don't jive with these people, but it's whatever. We're having a good time. And then it ends with everyone sitting in a circle, like literally it was like a contest of demos, and like showing everybody their demos and like seeing who has the most and all this stuff. And obviously it wasn't brought to the table like that, but it really felt like, oh my God, like we're just, having a contest now of, who's the most successful and who's doing the most. And I was there like, I just moved here and I'm just here for the vibes. So I don't. Yeah. So yeah, hearing that that's not an experience that's just here is refreshing. And also like, I don't feel as feeling weird about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I feel like you can just like instantly tell if there's something going on that you're not going to jive with other musicians.
Yeah.
It's not even in like a, they probably don't jive with me either. So it's like,
Yeah.
but it's like an immediate like, why, like, yeah, it's you can't really even describe why. You like, sometimes you just meet people and you're like, we're gonna be friends for sure. Like, oh, in my lane of music. So
Yeah, it's just so hard when you're a creative person hanging out with other creative people, because it's like sometimes you want to go to that creative space, but sometimes you're like, I just want to hang out and not have to, I want to turn my brain off and just be friends for a second.
Yeah.
So yeah,
totally.
I find it hard to balance that. And that's why I'm not friends with a lot of songwriters here. Because it's like just forcing that creativity is not something that I can do as of right now. So
gotta take.
Yeah.
So what goals do you have for your careers for your Finnish Postcard in the next 5 years?
I mean, we want to, the biggest priority is like making stuff a lot and making stuff that is really exciting to us, and getting the chance to collaborate with people that inspire us, I think.
Yeah. And like feeling like I can pursue whatever musical thing I want.
Yeah.
If we want to make like stuff that's really easily palatable and really poppy and catchy, or if we want to do stuff a little bit more out there, like just feeling like, not feeling boxed in a way. I say that because I feel like in the past I've boxed myself in. So
yeah, and like Finnish Postcard is really, for us, it really means like no rules. Like, I mean, I guess the only rule is like having good like taste, and not like not gonna make any like, I don't know, we're not gonna make a rap record where we're like rapping or anything, but
you'll see.
I guess we'll see. Yeah, so we have big things coming. But you know, like, yeah, keeping it just super open and super creative, and like whatever, you know, whatever our bliss is in the moment. I feel like our ideal situation would be like making records when we're 50 that are just like
Totally.
stupid, like a drum and bass record, like,
Yeah.
or
Yes.
like,
Yeah. I think in a big kind of big goal is just to hang out with musicians that I think are cool and like watch them work and work with them. But in a more like uh like tactile sense, our goal is finishing this record,
yeah,
Mm.
and playing shows in LA.
Yeah.
And other little projects we're doing, like feeling like cool videos, vital stuff. And yeah, I just want to like keep surprising myself with music. I think that's
I love that.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's so important to keep music fun and not too stressful, because I know so many people that music is their careers and their livelihood, but they have lost the joy in it. And it's like, remember why you started, you know?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I just like I get so much out of just like being around music.
Mhm.
Like, you know, like the more I play, the more I learn about music, the more I listen to music, the better it gets. Like, and there's nothing else in life that I've ever experienced like that. Like, music does not play by the rules of normal life. Like the more I go to the well, the more water is there.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Well
wow, we
said.
love a
That was
metaphor.
nice. That was great.
Thank you. There's a quote I really like that I took guitar lessons from this guy in LA for a couple of years, and he was like super transformative. But he told me this quote that was by some composer, and it was a lifetime. It was music is enough for a lifetime, but a lifetime is not enough for music. Like,
Wow.
you can spend your whole life doing music, and you won't have done all of it. Which
Yeah,
is
it won't ever be
Wow.
enough time.
like, how lucky are we that that's what we're doing, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Ooh. I have like the inspiration tickles. I love that.
Wow. Okay, we've come to our final question of the episode. And it's the heavy hitter question.
Ooh.
Why do you write songs?
You know that this might sound pretentious or something, but I have to. Like,
do it.
I have to write songs.
I think I'll say it.
No, like
Try
Do
to
it.
say it.
Dude.
Yes.
no, it's just like I have to, like, there's no other life. There's, you know, music is the only thing I am supposed to do.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, we've had so many guests on here that say very similar things, and I love that answer because it feels so true and so genuine. Mm-hmm.
If you approach it logically, you're like, writing songs, like this is what you care about. It's like there's not a ton of money in music, and it's like there's so many other musicians, but it's like
You can't not.
why do you write songs?
Yeah.
Well, like for the first, I like started playing music and stuff, like kind of like musical family. I was like tinkering on pianos and stuff when I was really little, and so it was always a part of my life. But I just grew up in a small town, and I didn't really think that being a musician was an option in life. And so I was just really in denial about it for the first like 20 years of my life. And I kept trying to get myself to like just kind of quit, you know, and like pursue other stuff. But I think around the time I was like 21, 22, I had just looked back and been like, oh, I've been like doing this like every week. I've been like going hard at this my whole life, and it's kind of like I've read this quote that's like, follow the dreams that follow you. And I just felt like it was kind of like this thing that I wasn't going to escape and, you know, shouldn't. And yeah, that's kind of like the big overarching, like, it's just a thing that I do. But I think when I am writing songs, the thing that I'm doing is like expressing myself in a way that I just can't verbally, and like, yeah, which is, it seems so basic, but it's like there's stuff that I just can't talk about, and then but I can write a song about it. And once I do, it kind of unlocks that thing. Like a year later, I listen back to the song and I'm like, oh, that's what this is about.
Yeah.
Now I can, like, you know, accept this part of myself, or, you know,
totally,
this memory.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
Great answers.
Thank you.
So we've come to the end of our time together. And
sounds so serious.
So what song are you going to be sharing with us to put in the end of the episode, and give us a little info about it?
We're gonna do a song called Highway, which was the first thing we released was a double single, and this is one of them. I feel like it's a perfect Finnish Postcard song to hear first, because we literally wrote it sitting across from each other with Trey on this little toy keyboard, this little Casio that like $25. And I feel like the sound palette in it is very us. And I feel like, at least, you know, the verses I sang, I feel like I said what I was trying to say. And we were like meeting up for rehearsal because we had a show, and then we didn't rehearse, and then we just wrote this song, which is something we do all the time, actually. So
like, but actually that's not unique at all.
And yeah,
love it.
Trey played drums on it and killed it.
Thanks, man. Yeah. We played all the instruments on it. Yeah, it was very, very just us. The record that we're making now is like, we have a little team that we're working with, like a producer and an engineer, I should say co-producer. But this was just all us, so it's a very pure version of a song that we wrote.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
Sit and play some drums.
I've heard this song already, and it's amazing. So the fact that you guys recorded it yourselves, played all the instruments, and you mixed and did you master it as well?
No. My friend Andrew mastered it.
That's
We
amazing.
don't know what mastering is, so
Yeah, I really don't know what mastering.
I don't really understand it either. I'm like, so you mix it and then you have to go through another step? Like, what? There are more numbers, moving things.
It sounds gooder.
I
don't
like more better.
maybe someday we'll realize that it's all just a ploy to have someone make more money, you know?
Turns the gain up.
Yeah. Like, okay, done.
I love it. Well, this is Highway by Finnish Postcard.
Everybody bores me, betraying hand. No